Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of The Archives. Although really it is the first proper episode today with the new studio. Today it's just me, as you can see, because I figured before you, the viewers, meet the guests, you should probably get to know your host. So hi, my name's Daniel, and I'm starting a podcast. A little bit of background about me. I'm a 20-year-old student in my second year studying business economics at Cardiff Uni. And I'll add that I'm quite a restless person. Last year I had a business alongside trying to post on Instagram and also box competitively. After a year that, I felt that wasn't enough, so I became the president of the uni boxing club as well. And again, continuing to post regularly on Instagram and other platforms and try and grow a following there. Whilst trying to start a podcast alongside uni, I did stop the business, which is a whole story within itself. Now, I'm massive into my fitness. I said I box, and I've actually got my first amateur bout in less than a week. I've also always been in the gym, but I cannot play a team sport to save my life. Now, I figured I'd start with why I'm actually doing a podcast. Firstly, I love to talk. I'll talk about anything with anyone, again, except football. I can't chat football. If you're here for a synopsis on Arsenal this season, you are in the wrong place. But more importantly, I love listening to podcasts. The big ones I like is Modern Wisdom, Diary of a CEO, bit of Joe Rogan from time to time, and another one called The Rest is History. I am a bit of a history nerd. Now, Chris Williamson, in particular, the host of Modern Wisdom, he said that instead of being the sum of the 5 friends you spend most of your time with, you're actually the sum of the 5 podcasts you listen to, and a lot of you be listening to that and going, fuck, this guy must be boring. But if you actually look at the type of guests that those guys interview, far from it. So point is, when listening to these podcasts, I've often pictured myself asking their amazing guests questions and thoughts that I have, and perhaps I also like the idea about talking about myself and being interviewed as well. But I'll let you guys, the viewers, be the judge of that. Now, I'm a massive fan of all the mindset stuff. Being disciplined, people turning their lives around and becoming successful, and all of the wacky stuff that goes into that kind of psychology and that side of mindset Instagram. And again, that's a lot of the topics of the podcast that I've just mentioned there, and it's going to be a massive pillar of this podcast. So I hope you find it interesting. There'll be a lot more to be talked about there. Now, why am I actually doing this, and what's in it for me? Well, it interests me. I think I can have some really awesome conversations. As I said, I want to have a presence on social media, but I don't want to be some tacky, viral influencer. I want to be making videos that people like, people engage with, and that actually might help people and entertain them. And everyone has a story to tell, and I want this podcast to be the opportunity for them to tell it. And that's probably going to be the new tagline for the Spotify, so I hope you like that. Now, I actually started this interviewing form last year after watching a channel called The School of Hard Knocks. They used to interview billionaires and other successful people by tagging them on the street, going up to them, interviewing them, and I thought, cool, I'm going to do the same thing, but in the gym. Ask people about fitness and gym and what got them into the gym. I did that twice, and I decided that podcast format is where I want to go. I loved the speaking to people and the asking the questions, but I felt this kind of format is the way you can really get into the depth and have some proper, great conversations where you can just bounce off each other. For like when you're stopping people on the streets or after a workout and things, I mean, to a degree it's planned. You know, you are deciding before you're filming it, oh, by the way, we're going to do an interview after this, but there still feels like an element of, it feels rushed, and that it's a snapshot into their lives. What I want here is I want to have a proper, long-form conversation where if a topic comes up, we can talk about that topic. Now, that leads me into the next part. Who do I want to interview? Well, as I mentioned, I started the interviews in the gym. That was interviewing, people that were in good shape. Picked out 2 guys that just looked big, and they were also my friends and kind enough agreed to do it with me. But like I did with those guys, I thought same principle. I'm at university, and that means you've got access to researchers, lecturers, professors that are working on some really cool, interesting stuff. And me being me, I want to know about it. I want to talk about it. So that is going to be a big side of this podcast, will be lecturers, researchers, people with an interesting story to tell. I think a lot of it might be a focus on maybe some finance and business and economics as well, because that is where my interest lies, and I need to be interested for the podcast to be interesting. So again, I hope that is going to be interesting to the viewers that are watching this. I certainly hope so. But that's on one side. Now, on the other side, university also has an abundance of other people, and that's students, because I'm also going to bring them on, and that can be to discuss whatever is relevant with them from student life, within reason. Not trying to get cancelled in the first episode, but also to know about them. As I said, everyone's got a story to tell, so I want to hear about their ambitions and their hobbies and their societies and interests, and just not football. I can't talk about football. We probably will end up talking about football at some point, but anyway, I have no ball knowledge. But that's one side. On the other side is a group of people that university has an abundance of, and that is students. I'm also going to be bringing them on. And that could be to discuss whatever is relevant with them from student life, within reason. I'm not trying to get cancelled within the first episode. But also like their ambitions, their hobbies, societies, interests. I say everyone's got a story to tell, and I want them to be able to tell it here and make some great entertainment whilst we do it. And that also goes to, careers. Where do they think that their degree is going to take them? Why did they choose their degree? I mean, a massive pillar of this is going to be, the difficulty of getting a job now with a degree. Internships, myself, I've had first-hand experience of that, and trying to see what, in a changing world, internet, AI, what are students thinking that their career and their future is going to be? Because I think that is going to be really interesting to hear, for the next generation of workforce, what they think they're going to be doing. And so, where do I see this going? Short term, long term? Well, short term is consistency. I always talk about that if you've watched any of my Instagram videos, but it is true because I think that is the most important thing to have any kind of success in anything. You've got to do it multiple times over. So, consistency for me will be getting an episode done per week. That's pretty easy, and just having some really interesting conversations while we do that. Now, long term, I'm not too sure. I'm in my second year of university. I'm only going to have this space for another year and a bit, as long as I'm even here. Otherwise, if I'm at home, I'm going to have to find another place to, find some good mics and all of that. But long term, I don't think this is what I want my career to be. But instead, I want this to be a constant alongside my career, an archive of my best conversations and a snapshot into my life. Hence the name, Archives. So yeah, that is me. Thanks very much for listening. Follow to see what comes next. I'm Daniel Field, and that is this week's episode of The Archive complete.